you're a fat person and you look at another fat person, you just hate the sight of it. Imagine hating the Sarosh who was 20 kgs heavier.
You're so attractive that you have to hide it. Like, you're so precious. All of your worth and all of your honor and all of your importance is stored to a certain part of your body.
Every time I would talk to girls, they would say, oh, we thought you're this girl who has a boyfriend. And in my head, I was like, there is no way someone who looks like this, who's fat, is going to end up with a boyfriend. That's when I developed an eating disorder. Someone casually just went, roti ki zarurat nahi hai tumhe. I think I did some very terrible things to my body. And you know what? I hated my chest area. I hated it. So that's when I completely stopped wearing dupattas.
Was your body different from the rest of the women in the family?
No, it's pretty genetic, yeah.
Who are you to talk when you literally have the same body? Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It's really nice to get in touch with you and talk about things that offend people. And of course, I'll tell you a little bit about me. My name is Coco. I'm your host. I've been doing this podcast for a while. And forever who's listening or watching, today we're unpacking something that touches many of us in both visible and invisible ways, which is body shaming in Desi society. And it starts from aunties commenting on your weight at weddings to beauty standards shaped by colonial hangovers and Bollywood body image. The body image culture in South Asia is so loaded with judgment, shame, and silence. So we're going to talk about that. And I'm excited to have somebody who I actually also met through the podcast. So this is a lot of times the case. And this is what makes this so fun, is because I just keep meeting amazing and fearless people. And I'm speaking with Sarosh, and Sarosh is talking about things that offend a lot of people, like conversations around sex and sexuality and body and image. This episode, we're going to talk about fat phobia and maybe about fairness creams and maybe about unsolicited advice and how to begin healing from generational shame about your body.
Yes.
So would you like to start off by introducing yourself a little bit?
That's always the hardest part. Suddenly one just forgets everything about themselves. Who am I? But I'm someone who has been extensively talking about a Pakistani woman's experience, not just with her body, but with how to navigate being in this body within a domestic space, within a social space, even in other when it comes to dealing with the how the entertainment industry in Pakistan showcases itself, the challenges that come with it. I have because my journey started with working on this in academia, and after that I wanted uh, just in my head to just carry on with this journey, and I wanted to still talk about it, not just in academia but just outside of it. I wanted to talk to people outside my circle, not just when I walk out of the house, but just. And I thought online being I was already pretty active online, but I was not doing anything over there than the usual Instagramming like one does. And when I started, I thought to myself, I actually started with a podcast myself, but it's an audio podcast, and it's called Dear Body, where I talked about it. I think because I was jobless for 2 months, I was looking for a job. I had left one place where I was working online, so that's when I started talking about it. And um, yeah, here I am. And it's so funny how I have been following you for quite some time, and I know extensively about the people you've engaged with, and never thought that this would happen and I would hear you taking my name. I never imagined this. It's crazy
Yeah,
how we
it's
interacted.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I always say that if you put yourself out there,
yes,
great things happen.
yes. So while you
So,
say that,
what has your journey been with your body and listening to people talk about your body and women's bodies? And tell me a little bit about what kind of upbringing did you have? What kind of conditioning did you have? And then how did you break that conditioning that this is not okay to be listening to these things about my body?
Yes, yes. So, growing up, I was being the eldest daughter. I was pretty much like would keep to myself, just with my books and my own company, which I still love to this day. So some things don't change. And growing up, I received a lot of attention from everyone because I was the eldest granddaughter from my mother's side. And so everyone was just like, I was surrounded by so much love, so much good energy, and just everyone adored me. And as a kid, you don't really realize that growing up, that would have such a huge impact, which I'll get into later. And so at that point in time, I was not so much focused on my body. I just remember being a very active child. I loved being outdoors. I remember every summer having a tan, and which I remember some relatives pointing out कि बाहर मत जाओ धूप में, काली होके आ जाती हूँ, because during the summers I would go back home. So I'm from Peshawar, and I've lived most of my time in Islamabad and Lahore. So when I would go back home, this was a common remark. Um, I didn't really care at that age. You don't really pay much heed, and it didn't hurt me कि मुझे कोई ऐसे बोल रहा है. And so I was just so I never had a direct relationship, and didn't really pay much attention. But pre-teens, when girls have to start interacting, you see. At school, you have to engage with the opposite sex, you have to talk to them, and you have to, in class or in the classroom or even outside. That is when I started paying more attention to my body, because I was made to. So I would pay attention to how my group of friends are. um, मैं कहती थी वो पतली हैं, and I don't look like them. I have to. I remember they would wear their sashes in school, and I had started wearing a dupatta because I had to cover, and because I my chest area was more prominent in comparison to my friends, which is like,
Wow.
it differs.
Were you asked to cover up a certain way
Uh,
because you were different or a
Yeah,
different
so at
size?
home I was told basically that not in school, they gave you this option that you can wear a sash and a dupatta, so like both is fine. I don't know if I had worn a sash, maybe they would have pointed, the teachers, one of the teachers would have pointed it out, कि बेटा I think आपको दुपट्टा पहनना चाहिए. I'm not sure about that, that's just an assumption. But at home I was being told कि अब आपने, you have to wear a dupatta and just cover. And you know what, I hated my chest area. I hated it.
Wow, I'm so
I
sorry. How
Yeah, like,
old were
I'm
you at
not
this
throwing this
time?
word casually. I hated. I remember, in the beginning you have to wear these training bras, so they're not exactly bras, but they're just like extremely tight, and like they'll make you sweat. And That's what my mother used to call it. I don't know if there's a different name to it. I really don't know. And I remember we were going to the mall, and I didn't want to wear a scarf to cover up, like this. I don't know. ऐसे करके. Get it? So I didn't want to wear it like that, and I told my mother I don't want to wear it. She said, no, you have to cover. And I couldn't say much, and I remember I decided to wear two of them just so they would look flat. And um, and when I came back home, um, I had a very bad rash in my underboob area, and it was, I had the most horrible night. I remember it distinctly. And I still carry a scar, which reminds me of that particular day, those moments, everything. So, that one incident I think encompasses what it was like for me during my preteens. And then
How
my
old were you at this time?
wish I remembered. I'm not really good with these days, so I'm saying preteen. So um, I
Preteen.
wish I knew. Yeah, preteens. So I don't think I was. I'm really bad with these numbers and years, and um,
Okay, all
but I
good.
was really, really, really young. Like, because I remember I was in Islamabad, and when I was in Islamabad, I was in Islamabad from sixth grade up until ninth grade. So I think one can do the math around it as to how old I was, just to get a general idea. So yeah, so then coming to my like teenage years, and then moving like going to college. I think I just like was every time I would like meet new friends, because I was constantly moving from one city to another, and then once from school to college, so it was always like a different group of friends for me. So every time so whenever I would converse with people, because I was really good at making friends. It's something that came very naturally to me. I didn't have a hard time interacting with people, being the person who would just like walk up and just say hello and just talk. And every time I would talk to girls, and then they would talk to me after a brief period, I would ask them, okay, what was your first impression of me? I think it's pretty common to ask that. I do it. They would say, oh, we thought that you're this girl who has a boyfriend. And I would be like, what made you think that way? Because in my head I was like, there is no way someone who looks like this, who's fat, um, is going to end up with a boyfriend. And they would say, no, it's the way you talk about certain topics, you're so comfortable. And so that's when the thinking process began, that what is this connection that these girls are trying to develop, that if a girl knows a bit too much, it means that she's experienced in certain ways. Can I not just know
Yeah.
about things on my own
Yeah, and
without
experience is not a good thing in this society for a woman.
exactly, you get, so that's the connection. I was so confused, that what is this connection, what is what does it show about our upbringing as girls? How are we being raised? What are the things that are being taught to us outside the kitchen? What are the conversations our parents, our friends, our teachers are trying to have with us? Are they just limited to this, or cooking, or just like which are just basic life skills? I understand that part now, but back then, um, there was a whole different concept here. So I think right after that, I just developed this very rebellious phase, where I mean, it's not the right word, but just to explain it a bit more, by rebellious I mean, I think I would just um, because the way I was raised is like there was a lot of discipline growing up, and you have to uh, you know dress a certain way, or like eat a certain way. You have to have a routine. I just never had that sense of control over what I could wear, or like my diet, although I would like to point out that my parents were never ones who would discourage me from eating. It was always like outside, like it could be relatives or someone, like you said in the beginning, you meet at a wedding, or like um, that those were some things that just made me so conscious, that I grew extremely rebellious, and I was like, I'm going to do everything on my own terms, even if it seemed irrational. I was like, no, this is the only sense of control I have, and that turned extremely negative, and that's when uh, it is a self-diagnosis, I would like to clarify, but that's when I developed an eating disorder, because because I knew that there are only a few things I can control, and that could be like what I eat and what I do not eat. So it was more like okay, I'm not gonna eat this. I stopped eating something entirely, and so that is how it's been like for me.
Was there a specific moment when you realized that what you were experiencing was actually body shaming?
I think it was just a few things, because there was not a lot of discussion surrounding body shaming or like you need to take it as a joke, you need to take it lightly, it's just a joke. A few things I was able to at that point label as body shaming. कि अगर आपने किसी को मोटी कह दिया है या तुम हैंगर हो कह दिया है, those were some things that in my head counted as body shaming, whereas in reality there was more to it. uh, Telling someone to skip a certain food item out of their plate, peeking into someone's plate while they're putting something. I grew so conscious of these little things. They might seem minor, but to me, they were huge. Just walking into, for instance, like a store, and then they looking at you and be like, "Acha, आपका तो ये size होगा." Just I grew so self conscious as a result that how can you just so casually just tell me that or put a label that ये इसका ये size होगा. So I think these were just little instances that I would encounter, that at that point I didn't realize what they were, but the more I started thinking about it growing up, I realized, okay, this is what was happening to me. And I was not realizing it. I was just internalizing it, and and that's when the rebellious phase came in, because I was holding everything in for so long. I was not speaking up actively about it. That today, when I talk about certain topics and people still have remarks, people in my closest circle have remarks, oh, we need to be, cautious, you might say something about us, which they pose as a joke. But now I don't internalize it.
I love that
Yeah,
you have this big power.
yeah,
You have this power because people are like, we could be content for her on
I
Instagram.
enjoy it actually, and she
I
she
love
should be
it. I
cautious.
love the fact that you have this kind of immunity. Like, people know if they mess with you, they would
Yes,
end up becoming
posting about it.
content.
Yes, they do.
Yeah,
Like my friend,
that's amazing.
it's a thing. It's a thing I enjoy it the most. I think they don't, but clearly I do. I love that. So do you see like how I channeled that, because there was so much negative going on inside, and it was very unhealthy for me, and I needed to channel it. It took me very very long to channel it into something positive, and I had to acquire help, and there were so many things I had to do all on my own, because for me taking help, it took way too long, and I was not ready to take help for the longest time. And I just wanted to do it on my own. Again, I think it's just an eldest daughter syndrome. I don't know, that you have to do everything on
Yeah.
your own. Could be that.
Yeah. Something you said that really stuck with me was that you hated your chest area when you were a
Yes,
child. So
yes,
you hated your breasts.
yes,
Whatever of it had grown at that point.
yes,
And I think this is really common that we're taught in many different ways to hide our bodies.
yes,
So we're taught in this society to hide
mm,
like it's a bad thing,
yes,
you know? Hide like it's so, or it's a bad thing, so you have to hide, or you're so attractive that you have to hide it. Like, you're so precious. This part of your body is
yeah,
so precious. All of your worth and all of your honor and all of your
attached.
importance is stored and attached to a certain part of your body. Could be your breasts, or could be
Yes.
your another part of your body. Did that shift at any point for you? That framing of how you saw yourself?
Yes, so I have been through a journey over there as well. So, like I told you, the whole story surrounding how I started hating my breasts, and then I was knowing where I come from. There were a lot of things that I was forced to do initially, and it took a lot of unlearning for my family to understand why I had to do certain things on my own. Because for me, my journey was very haphazard. Like, I'll explain it to you, I'll break it down for you. So, imagine like hating your breast for a really long time, and you have to wear a dupatta, and you hate it with your whole heart that you have to wear it. When it comes to Western clothing, you have to wear a scarf. When it comes to Eastern clothing, you have to wear a dupatta. And just the whole thing of it all, like I remember just not feeling confident at all in my body. um, I didn't feel the need to go out and just pick clothes for myself. I hated going out because I feared that I did not want to eat in public. I did not want to eat in a cafe with my friends. I never wanted to do all of those things when it came to like buying clothes because of these experiences which were quite common while shopping in a mall, or for instance, like I shared with you. I stopped doing that. I said I would tell my mother, just get anything. And then like the more I grew up, the more I was like, I need to change this. I need to like stop, because I was not feeling like, imagine just feeling this disconnect, like you're not connected with yourself solely on the basis of what you adorn yourselves with, whether it's jewelry, whether it's clothes, whether it's a scarf, anything. I wanted to do it on my own terms. So that's when I completely stopped wearing dupattas. I said complete no. And I just like kept them.
How was that received
Oh,
within the
it was really
family?
tough. Like I think my parents were very patient with me, because they understood that this was years of something that I had bottled down, and I just exploded one day. And I said,
And what led to this explosion? Do you remember a little bit more about this day?
I don't think it was a particular. Yeah, of course it was a particular day, but then just waking up one day and being like, why am I doing this? Who like I wish to be connected with who I am as a person, what I wish to do with myself. It was breaking my confidence. When you don't have that confidence in you, it erodes your relationship with a lot of things, whether you're someone who's studying, whether you're someone who's working somewhere, whether you're someone who's traveling, meeting people. Like it has a lot to do, for me at least, it has a lot to do with how I dress up on a daily basis, because I was someone who would watch my mother every morning dress up, put on her best clothes, do her makeup, make her hair. I have her routine memorized, and sometimes I mimic it to her, and she smiles from ear to ear, that the fact that I remember every single thing, the way she would pin her hair and how she would put on her clip. So I wanted to, I think a part of me wanted to mimic that. And for that, but for that to happen on my own terms, I knew I needed to go through this phase where I knew it was going to be brief. For some reason, I knew in my heart. But at the same time, I knew that I needed to go on this journey where I needed to shun myself, or like absolve myself of these the things I'm being forced to do, which is like cover yourself or do this. I was like, there is no way I'm doing this. I think I'm also fortunate enough to live in a city where I was able to do this, because back home, uh, personally, I would not be able to do that. Like back home, I cover my head when I have to walk. Um, on the streets of Peshawar. So, but here I was able to do that. Of course, I'm not saying that in Lahore or in Islamabad, you are someone who will not be looked at a certain way by strange men. That was present there. I remember being in a cab and just being like, what if this man is thinking कि ये किस तरह की लड़की है, दुपट्टा नहीं पहना हुआ, बहुत तेज होगी. Like these things would
Wow.
go run in my
Wow.
head.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
What if he tries to do something? What if he makes a move? Like,
Yeah, I know what
and
you
then
mean.
yeah, and I would be very scared. Oh, I wish I had kept a scarf just in case.
Yeah.
It was,
Wow.
yeah, and these thoughts.
I would have these same thoughts if I wore sleeveless in Pakistan, for example.
Sleeveless, I cannot even imagine. Like, imagine for
You know,
me.
I mean, just to give you like a little bit of a connection. So
Yes.
I know that I have this podcast and I'm always talking about sex, and a lot of people seem to assume that I come from a background where this is completely normal, and it's not. Like,
Yeah.
I come from a background where leaving the house without a dupatta was a big taboo,
Gee.
and it was massive. It was a massive shift for my
Yes.
family when I told them I'm gonna wear what I'm gonna wear.
Yes.
And I did not say it in these words. Um, my strategy was more like not saying anything,
Hmm.
just doing it.
Complete opposite of mine.
Yeah, because I realized that if I say something, it's not gonna go down well, and then it's gonna be a shouting match. And I've realized that from a very young age, all my strategies were just not saying it, just doing it. And
Okay.
obviously, when you start doing something, you feel like a lot of times that you owe people a conversation. Hey, I'm starting to act in this way because,
Yeah.
but because I didn't want to have the conversation,
Yeah.
I couldn't do it very comfortably. It was a very slow, gradual process. It came for me. My mother covers herself up. She wears a hijab. She wears an abaya. Every single woman in my family covers themselves up. If not with an abaya, then with a hijab.
Yes.
Like, it was unthinkable that I was leaving the house or asking to be allowed to leave the house without not just a hijab but also like a dupatta altogether.
Yes.
And this was a huge deal, and it started for me with the fact that when I could make my own money, I could buy whatever clothes,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
And I'll be honest, a lot of times I'm a doer, right? I'm just gonna do something. I'm gonna find a way to do something. I
Yes.
don't have to explain it to anybody. I understand that if you're under 18, then your parents can say something. But I was always like, okay, if you make it impossible for me to leave the house
Yes.
without a dupatta, I'm gonna leave one with a dupatta and then take it off outside.
Yes.
And I was one of those girls. I
I
was
was
literally one of
also
those
one of
girls
those girls.
who people talk about in college. Oh, she leaves the house like this and then she takes it off.
Yeah.
And I really could not care less.
Yeah.
Because I believe that if you don't give me an environment
Yes.
to be myself, then I'm going to create an environment, and that environment would not be according to how you're going to like it,
Yes.
you know? So I can be very sneaky like that. It's just that I did not, at this age, this is 15 years ago or something, and at this age, I did not know how to get up and stand and with clarity be like, this is how I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, then I'm going to go do it somewhere else. But I would appreciate if you let me. I can say it now. It's a different story. I don't have
Of
to.
course.
So I understand, like, I understand these small things, especially in like Muslim families, Pakistani families, where women have to, you know, fight for these really tiny things. And that's the reason I asked you, how did your family take it? Because if I had told my family I'm not gonna wear this, I would, it would not go down well. It's possible I would be told, well, you can't leave without it.
I think for it was more, maybe it was tough for both my mother and father, but their ways of responding to it are contrasting in nature. So my father deals with things more patiently than he used to when we were kids. So he used to be he had a very bad temper, but like the more he the more we grew up, and he understood that we're teens now, or like I'm in my 20s now. He has a very different relation I have a very different relationship with him, because I feel like he's more patient. He's trying to unlearn a lot of things now, trying to understand how the world works now, or how at least my world works, because it's going to be very different from I oftentimes jokingly convey to him that you need to leave the city you came from behind, because we don't live there anymore, and I was not raised over there. Yes, I spent 8 years of my life over there, but I was raised in this city. And like I have grown up here. I've had my fair share of experiences here, not with, yes, I still have that, connection by blood with family back home, but that's all there is to it. I've crafted friendships, relationships here, and this is where I've grown. So it's going to be a completely different ride, and I think he understood that. It took He took his fair share of time with it. Yes, there were like a few comments here and there, कि बेटा इसका दुपट्टा नहीं पहना, or like like when you're outside, you're like अंदर जाओ and like वो मजदूर खड़े हुए हैं or something like that, as if like why is it like कि वो अंदर क्यों नहीं जा सकता, why is he looking at me,
Yeah.
just go do your thing
Yeah.
and if go
Yeah.
do
And
whatever.
how did your mom respond to it
um
or react?
she doesn't say anything now, but like she would say it on a daily basis every morning.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you wear one, like don't go like this, and like very like in a very polite manner, but still would say it on a daily basis.
Are they very religious?
Uh, they I don't know what counts as being very religious. They pray 5 times a day, and we fast, and like I do all of
Do you
those things
think
as well.
do you
So I don't
think
know.
I understand it's a very innocuous
Yeah, I really
question
don't know how to
in
answer that.
within the cultural setting. I mean that do they would they say these things because they were religious, or would they say these things because of
No, I think it
cultural
has more
reasons?
with, yeah, okay, now I understand what you're saying. No, it has more to do with like how the society operates. Ke log kya kahenge, that narrative. It had more to do with that. Not that you need to wear, like you need to cover your head, nothing of that sort. I think that is more towards the religious side, that falls over there. But it had more to do with like this is how you shouldn't be stepping out of the house, or like men will look at you, or like you'll be out on your own, because I would be out for work or other reasons like traveling. um, so yeah, so it was more in that sense that अगर कोई देखेगा तो फिर you need to cover. So I think yeah, it was more in relation to that for me. But it has completely, so just wanted to build up on that. So after that whole rebellious phase where I was just like no to the pattas, then there came a time where I was like I want to wear a joda with dupatta. And that's when my whole paranda phase began. I started purchasing a lot of parandas, and because that's when I remember that was like this was before even generation started with the whole parandas and everything. I remember just going to a very random shop and just buying a black regular paranda, and I said to myself, now I feel like wearing a dupatta. Today I want to wear a shalwar kameez and dupatta. I think this looks good. Or today I want to wear a scarf. And no, today I don't want to wear this. So, and that's when I slowly and gradually started to feel that I've developed this sense of confidence. I love engaging with people. I stopped caring about whether I'm eating in public or not, and I don't know, like it completely transformed everything for me. Um, I also would like to credit many friendships in my life which came later, where they helped me with my relationship with food. They would tell me कि कोई तुम्हें नहीं देख रहा, सब अपनी दुनिया में है. If you want to eat a burger, just eat a burger. You're not going to look a certain way. Because my mind would be running with the most strange things, most vile things, like मोटी होके burger खाओगी, like you get it, like I would be so harsh. Like it was all internal, these voices in my head. And कि ये तुम्हें नहीं खाना चाहिए, फिर तुम इधर से तुम्हारा पेट निकला हुआ है पहले से, और फिर यू गोना ईट दिस ऑन टॉप ऑफ दैट, कम कब करोगी, एंड जस्ट लाइक this and I would switch from one diet to another quite frequently. So this started in 2016, when 2017 to be precise. So I was doing my bachelor's, and there was an episode where someone casually just went that you need to not have roti and just eat without roti. Roti की ज़रूरत नहीं है तुम्हें. And that just, there was a switch. And I said, okay, if that's the case, I'm going to show you what it's going to be like. And I stopped eating rice. I stopped eating roti, parathas. I would go out and have a
Who
pizza.
said this to you?
Someone in like my like one of my extended relatives. So it happened back home. So and I was just take it was not even just the sense of being taken aback. It was more like, are you challenging me right now? And how dare you say that to me? And at that moment, I didn't have a response because we were surrounded by family, and um, maybe I was not expecting it, and or maybe I was on some level, but I just didn't know. And I felt like no response is going to make a difference right now. And I wanted to like, but what happened was that I think I did some very like terrible things to my body. We're depriving it of so many nutrients. I just like, I was like, okay, no to fizzy drinks, no to rice. And who says a complete? Who puts a complete ban on having rice? Who puts a complete ban on having roti? You still need that. And I was just like, no, I'm going to do it
Yeah.
on my own. And just and I the reason why I'm talking about it is because I do not want any girl to be doing any of those things, like planning these things inside their heads. Okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. There are people who actually do that, can do that for you. You don't need to do that for yourself. And that developed because I dropped weight in less than a year, all solely on the basis of this diet that I was on, like very strict. And I would, because before that, I went to the gym for 2 months, but that did nothing for me because I was like, I was like, no, I don't want to be around people. There's too many women. And I, I think there was also like, because, in that particular gym, there were like a lot of aunties and a lot of women. And um how do I explain it?
I
I
get
can't,
it.
yeah, I can't explain it in the nicest way, but just I think I have talked about it online as well. I'm not sure, maybe with a friend or so, but like I have this thing sometimes as well, and I'm working on it, where when you look at, so if like you're a fat person and you look at another fat person, you have this, you just look at them and you just hate the sight of it. Maybe it's like a mirroring of sorts. I don't know what it is. And I would just look at them and be like, I don't want to be surrounded by these women, these auntiyan and these like जो मोटी लड़कियां हैं. And just inside my head, like I would have these thoughts. And I was 19, 18, 19 at that time.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I was, yeah, 17, 18. Yeah. And
Wow,
मुझे,
this is
yeah,
way too young.
yeah, मुझे नहीं उधर इधर आना. Like I don't want to come back here. I went for 2 months, and I was like, I don't want to be here.
Was your body different from the rest of the women in the family?
No. So it's pretty, yeah, it's pretty genetic. Yeah, even the the person who gave the remark, I don't know, like,
I fail to understand. I mean, it's wrong either way to tell someone what to eat and what not to eat. But who are you to talk when you literally have the same body?
yeah, no, no, it's pretty common in our family.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Um.
No, I was not
So,
like the only person who looked like that. Yeah.
and what about the others? Did they have to go through the same things?
The others meaning,
Your cousins, siblings,
yeah,
relatives?
yeah, they do go through it, but I think it's very important to have. I think they are on some level fortunate enough to have older siblings or cousins who can tell them. I do have these conversations quite often with them, where because I can't control the situation at their home. Not control. Control is not the right word, but I can't. Um, ma- I can't be around them all the time. Of course, they live miles away, and of course, there are going to be certain conversations at home, and it's going before it settles in their head. I like to have these conversations with them where I make it a point to point out that just because a certain someone is saying passing a certain remark does not mean that you sit quiet and let it consume you wholly, which is, and my cousins do watch my videos, and they do share how they feel because I do ask them. And so yeah, I think it was very different for them because my cousins are really young, like uh, बहुत छोटे हैं. Like like one of them just started doing his bachelor's, and most of them are still in school. They're very young. um,
Right.
Yeah, so basically,
And what impact does body shaming have on mental health, you think, especially for young girls?
I think for me it was there were two things. So like there was an immediate drop in my confidence, which led to me being fearful of making any decision in my life. I was always like, I did not like challenging myself to do things. I would just deprive myself of opportunities, or being around certain people, just because I didn't have that confidence in my body, because my mind would be so consumed with these thoughts that I'm too big to be around these people, I'm too big, I'm too much to be in this space or be around these people. What if they say something? What if they say I've gained weight? What if they say something about my face? And all of these thoughts. Imagine like this. This is not something like I even today I think about that, the fact that if I had not spent a large chunk of my life consumed by these thoughts, I would have achieved so much more in life, because most of my time was spent, even to this day is spent, thinking about these things first. How do I look? If is someone noticing certain things about my body, my arms, the way I'm walking, what I'm eating? I do not want to think about that. And I also, like, I have become a very, very, very anxious person. Extremely, like, there's just like, I don't second guess things in life. I'm not indecisive, but just little things trigger me. I think it has a lot to do with how certain remarks or being in certain situations remind me of my childhood. So, like, you could call it PTSD, but like, it just like I immediately go back in time. I become that little Sarosh. I just feel like I'm back in that body again. Um, and it's so crazy. I still have dreams where where I envision myself being in that body, and I wake up in a fright, thinking, "Oh God, thank goodness that was just a dream." Like, imagine hating the Sarosh who was 20 kgs heavier. So I'm working on that, like trying to. I feel like there's a huge disconnect. I don't want to hate that Sarosh. Um,
How do you handle body shaming comments in real life, especially from family or elders now?
So the funny thing is, like, ever since I started talking about it online, it has stopped. People are very careful with the sort of conversations they have with me, uh, and how they engage with me, what they joke about, which I love. I couldn't care any less. Like, the right kind of people will have important or difficult conversations with me, and I welcome them. Um, it's funny how it's always strangers in my comments or in my messages who like challenge me, and I love that it's a mental exercise for me to remind myself how far I've come from where I was. Maybe 10 years back, these comments would have made me respond to it in a very unhealthy manner, but today it's a whole different scenario. So I don't struggle with that anymore. But for those who like maybe like friends or someone who jokes about it, because it's pretty common. um, I do not take it to heart. I have the strategy where if you will say something about me in a jokingly manner, I will say something about you then, because उस वक्त, like in those moments, I do not think that giving a whole speech is going to alter what's here. You are just uttering what you internally are going through. It's your journey, your path. This has nothing to do with me. I am on my own journey. I have my own healing to do. So that is for you to work on. So for me, it's just all about, okay, I need to, and it's So crazy. A friend said that to me when I was doing my bachelor's, and this was years ago. And she told me, "Okay, if someone says something about my body and jokes about it, I'm going to say something back. Why should I stay quiet?" And at that point, I was like, "What is she saying? Like, that's not nice." But then I thought to myself, I was not thinking about myself. They're not being nice to me, my body. Who's going to take care of me, myself? It's going to be me at the end of the day. So,
And do you respond now?
yeah,
How
I'm
do you
not going
respond?
to sit back and just like I used to do this. I would just at that point, like whenever there was a certain moment, I would just sit and not say anything and then just like think about it. And I remember I was this happened during work, so I was giving one of my workshops. So it happened fairly recently, like you can say more than a year ago. And this person comes up to me and they were like, "Oh, you remind me of you look a lot like," they mentioned a celebrity. And I said, "Oh, really? That's like," I said, "Okay, could be it, but that's not." They basically didn't know that this is a celebrity. They said, "Oh, is this you in the video?" I said, "No, that's not me, that's a celebrity." Said, "Oh, okay." And then there were a bunch of there was a group of men standing, like four men. And he said, "Oh, look, I thought that she is this person, but that's not her, that's a celebrity." And they said, and the celebrity was very lean. And they said, "Oh, नहीं, ये तो बहुत कमजोर है, ये तो मोटी वाली." And then insert their name. And the one of the men just went के आप body shame क्यों कर रहे हैं उसको, ये सही नहीं है. And then he was just laughing, like, just because he thought, "Oh shit, like someone just called me out and it was a man." And I was just looking, and because I was in my work mode. You don't think about these things. You don't think about grown men just casually passing a remark like this.
But
And
that's
because
what grown men do in
yeah,
Pakistan.
they were
Grown men
referring
have
to me
like,
as Miss,
yeah.
because I was teaching them. And to Beshak, our age group is similar. I was still teaching, so I was in my head. I was like, okay, there's going to be an element of respect, and no boundaries will be crossed because I established them. But no, and then I didn't say anything. And then when I went back home, I was like, I need to say something. I need to confront this person, because this person is married with a kid, and he's going to casually have these conversations at home, and I don't want his son to grow up in that environment. So I went up to him politely, I pulled him aside, and I said, "What you said to me yesterday, I did not like it. That was not nice. It hurt my feelings. You don't comment about someone's body like that, and you have a son. And even if you didn't have a son, you shouldn't be casually passing remarks to anyone."
How did he take it?
Anyone. He was respectful. He said he apologized, and I think it had a lot to do with power play at that point. I'm going to be very honest, because if it were an interaction online, I would not have received an apology. But considering I was the teacher and he was there for a workshop, um, he knew that he had to. But it was a very genuine apology. I'm not going to dismiss that. And he said that I apologize for what I said, and definitely I'll keep that into consideration. And that was it. And uske baad se, I was like, I'm not even going to take one like a half day. I'm not going to do that. I need to be alert. I need to be, even if I'm establishing my boundaries, which is like, feels like another challenge now that I think about it. Like, just constantly have to be alert. कि कोई किसी वक्त कुछ भी कह देगा. And you have to be quick. Think of a response. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
You know, at the beginning of the conversation, you said
Yeah.
something like how we put girls, thin girls, also into a box.
Yeah.
Um, I think that we do. I
Hmm.
think that people also body shame thin girls.
Yes.
But from all my years of experience of growing up as a brown woman,
Yes.
being in a brown society, working, journalism, seeing these conversations, I genuinely think that women who are thin may be body shamed, but it's not as bad as the other way around.
Okay.
Because I genuinely want to bring this to light that it's like a false equivalence in my opinion,
Okay.
because all the beauty standards are to be like size 0,
Yeah.
you know. And there's this whole, I find this argument like, when it's not the healthiest way to compare, but you know, like how when people say patriarchy also hurts men, yeah, but it's like
Yeah.
10% of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I just think that a lot of people also say this so they can feel like now they have a piece of the cake, and now they have the agency to comment on something, because when you're part of something, when you're part of the herd, you're more likely to feel comfortable to comment
Yeah.
on the issue. But I genuinely think that it's so much easier
Yeah.
to be thin in Pakistan. I have to be honest,
Yeah.
because all the beauty standards actually reinforce that.
Yeah. Patli, gori. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. Lambe baal.
So if you are a really thin woman, but let's say you have small breasts,
Yeah.
maybe some guys at a chai restaurant will talk about it
Hmm.
in the night. But you're not going to be shamed because you have small boobs within the family. It's highly unlikely.
Hmm.
It's just the frequency is a lot less for these things, right? If you're really, really thin, or if you're really, really, you know, if you're really, really light skinned, for example, like you said, Gori, right? If you're really, really light skinned, a lot of people will think you're just good looking, even if you are not good looking. Like,
Yes.
people's ideas of beauty are different. And there is a certain template that fits within the Desi society, and that is like lambi and patli and gori, right? Like
Ji.
thin and tall and light skinned. And I remember people in my family like speaking about women or girls or cousins of mine who, people would just say stuff like, yeah, but she's already so pretty, you know? Which means, oh, she doesn't need so much makeup because she's already so pretty, because this person they're talking about is extremely light skinned,
Yeah.
you know? And it just kind of strips you of your agency so much, because you're like, okay, well, my entire personality is just stripped off because I'm not light skinned, or
Yeah.
what, you know? And light skinned girls could get up tomorrow in Pakistan and be like, or South Asia, and be like, oh yeah, we're also put into a box. Well, I don't want to draw a false equivalence, if you know what I mean. And that's the reason I want to clarify this, because a lot of people think that thin girls are put into a box. They definitely are. They are put into a box. But it's nearly not as bad,
Yeah.
I think. Um, yeah, like, because what we see in pop culture, what we see in the media, what we see in entertainment,
Yes.
it's literally women who are extremely, extremely thin, extremely, extremely petite, extremely light skinned.
Yeah.
It's changing slowly, but it was not the norm. And I hope that it's okay that I say this. Like, I feel it, and I don't want to have this false equivalence. I'm a thin girl and I have the same struggles. It would be a lie, you know?
Yeah. I think for women it's just the I don't know, the journey has been very different for us. If you look at different time periods, you don't have to go way back in time, but just like notice how I have talked about it previously as well, like many years ago, about how there was a time when women's bodies had to be. So the 2000s were like very lean, thin, model-like figures, which you said, like, most girls who are thin, they fit those stereotypes, right? लंबी हैं, पतली हैं, गोरी हैं, they long hair, they fit the stereotype. Then there came a point where women had to be curvy. So you need to have breasts, you need to, have that hourglass figure. And then now again it's back to like being very thin, and we know the whole thing. I know it is not entirely similar at all, actually, for South Asia. Particularly if I'm talking about Pakistan, it doesn't work here, but like, the whole Ozempic culture right now. um, it, I just feel like whether you're too fat or you're too thin, there's a struggle in any form. In any form, like if currently seeing a lot of people talk about how if a woman who's fat, who's been fat most of her life, is choosing to be thin now, that is a problem. If a woman who's been thin her entire life wants to work on her muscle building or something, she looks too manly all of a sudden. Do you
That's
get what
true.
I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know.
So
There's no choice. There's no
yes,
agency to
exactly.
choose.
It's not
Oh,
even about
you
being
were so thin. Why do you want to gain some weight now? You
you
know.
get it. So
I get it.
there's no you can't win either way.
There's no right size to exist.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You could be whoever, but again, I feel like the journey is so much more different.
Yeah.
Like I because I know this from experience and from talking to people that it's nearly not the same and people draw a lot of false equivalence.
They do.
And I understand what you're saying because recently I went to Pakistan for my wedding and
Yeah.
people were like, you lost more weight? Like, this is the first thing that everybody told me. You lost more weight. And I was like, I'm not doing anything to lose weight. I'm
Yeah.
literally not because first of all, I don't need to lose more weight.
Yeah.
I think I'm fine the way I am. And two, I am not working on losing weight because I've ordered clothes and I want to fit in them.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
So it was funny because then I went to the designer and then went to the tailor and he was like, ये तो बिल्कुल ही गलत नाप दे दिया आपने, like इतना ज़्यादा ढीला है तो. And I'm just like, okay, maybe I lost a few pounds,
Yeah.
maybe I did. Like my idea and my goal was not to gain anything because then like I don't fit in the clothes, right? It has nothing to do with like slim or not slim. It's just I want to fit in the clothes I've ordered. And he's like, what, you're much
Conversation.
smaller.
The conversations we have with women before their wedding are so different
It's
from the
just
conversations they have with the a man.
it was just like the tailor was also like super confused. He's like, okay, well, we need to tighten this up, this is too
Yeah.
loose.
But the
But
fact that
every
you are
single
not
person,
actually making an effort.
yeah, but everybody in the
Crazy.
family like told me that you're so thin, you lost more weight, you should be happy. Like there's this perception that if you've lost weight that
You're sad.
you're really unhappy or sad. And I'm like, I'm perfectly happy.
Yeah.
I was just a little bit cautious that I don't gain anything because it would be really difficult to fit in a wedding dress that doesn't fit me now.
True.
It's just simply for practical reasons.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because the people who told me, oh, you're so thin, you have to eat. This was the
Yeah.
first time in my life that my parents actually told me, you have to eat more. Like, you're gonna finish this food. Like, my parents would never tell me that because essentially my mother always felt like I could be thinner, which
Okay.
is outrageous because what more do you want? Like, I'm already really small. So I understand the pressure to be a certain way, whether you're thin or whether you're not thin or whether you have a few extra pounds on you. But it's more about the conditioning. And I'm like, and she's like, yeah, but I was like, didn't you like ask me a few years ago to like eat less? She's like, yeah, but now this is too less. And I'm like,
It's too
there is no
Winning.
right way to do this. Like there is no winning. But I still think that, and that's why I want to clarify this, that a lot of people would be like, oh, I was so thin, I had it so hard.
Yeah.
Okay, but you were also on billboards, you were also doing advertisements. Then don't do that. If you are at some level in the society taking advantage of being a certain way with your body and it works for you professionally because models have to be a certain way and brands want women to look a certain way, you're actually capitalizing on that and it works for you, you're benefiting from it. I'm happy for you, but then don't complain that it's equally hard because it's not equally hard. You don't know the struggle of a person whose calories are policed. You don't know the struggle of a person who's told to cut this out from the diet. You know, And this is extremely, extremely heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Like, to be told what you can eat and what you can't eat,
Yeah.
you know? And that's the reason I feel like it bothers me so much when people try to draw this like false equivalence. Oh, it's the same. And I'm like, of
But
course it's not the same, but
in school, I remember there was someone, and she's very pretty and like normal weight, just like regular. You look at them and you'd be like, okay, say yeah, good. And but her friends would just be like, oh, you have no idea, like she has to like control her weight, her portions. I'm sure she had her fair share of struggles, but I would look at her and I'd be like, "ये इतनी खूबसूरत है, like she has such a nice body." And then I would look at myself and be like, should I shut up and not complain then? Like, what do I do? Like she's complaining. What? How can she complain? I would have these questions like, look at her hair, her just beautiful eyes, gori chitti hair. She looks complete, perfect in every sense of the word. So and then I would look at myself and I would just be like, I don't have good hair, I'm too fat. And I remember like I had very severe acne. It had transformed into like blackheads all over my face. So it was not even just acne. I had black heads, not white heads, black heads all over my cheeks, or here. And I would just be like, okay, then I will just not speak. Like, I didn't feel like I had that space to be vocal when I would just hear these things. And it's so funny. You talked about the comments you received before your wedding. So every time I go back home, the one thing that I get to hear most often is "kamzor ho gayi ho." They think it's a compliment, that I'm expecting them to say it, and I'm thinking in my head, I'm not even doing anything to lose weight. Because I'm currently working on changing my eating habits. So it's like a journey for me. I'm trying to eat clean. So it's not even just about like being on a diet. Yes, yeah, like I'm doing yoga now, and I'm doing like the strength building, and I'm working on those things, and like getting my steps in. So I'm working on these things right now, and there are days where it's not consistent, because I've been consistent all my life, and I'm very tired of it. I'm tired of the discipline and being under all of that, and I don't want to be. I just want to wake up and just decide what I'm going to do, because my days have been planned my entire life. And so it's so funny to me, like मैं हंस रही होती हूँ दिल में, because it's like a fun game for me. Okay, you don't even know that I'm not doing it, then I'm just like, thank you. That's so sweet. Thank you. बहुत शुक्रिया. अच्छा, really? So I just have some fun of my own.
I've been told stuff like "अब तो हवा पे जिंदा रहती हैं."
Hanger, like my friends would hear this.
Yeah, "अब तो हवा पे जिंदा रहती हैं," but I really don't care because
Yeah.
I love how I look, honestly, and I don't care. But I would just look at those people and just like, if someone says something to me that is just alarming or jarring, or I would just look at them in the eyes for 3 seconds. And that's enough to let people know that what they said was
That I should practice.
not okay. Like,
Yeah.
just like loosely, lightly smile back.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, I've been told all these things, but I guess more than being, "Oh, you're so thin," I was always told, "You're too short. You're too short, you should be taller." And this is crazy because I'll tell you, there's an audience in the world for everything. My husband doesn't like tall girls. He's not attracted. He likes short girls. He's like, "I'm really attracted to short girls." It's a whole other debate we can go into, why he's attracted to a certain type, what's the into his brain, but that's not the point. The point is, There's an audience for everything. He's like, I'm so glad you're not tall. Like,
Yeah.
like he's living in an environment in Europe where some women are extremely, extremely tall.
Yeah.
So it's refreshing for him that I'm short. And that's why I say there is an audience for everything, and beauty standards are just somebody else's definition of what looks good to them.
Yeah, but we didn't know that growing up. We used to think there is a certain stereotype. Ke, I cannot have a tummy, I can't have thick thighs, I can't have a very prominent back. Like I'm too big for any guy out there. And then when you grow up and you realize that everyone has a type, and certain men, women, whoever, like that, a girl has a tummy, or like, a girl with thick thighs, or like even someone who's just like lean, or like, there's massive types. And just that revelation in itself, it's um, you need a moment to let it sink in, to absorb it entirely inside. K, this is real. You're not dreaming of this. This is, and not that I'm not saying that this should be your goal, where you have to figure out that what men think of you and how you should fit also these certain types. This is just like one of many conversations that I feel like we need to have with girls, or like they need to learn on their own, as they are on their journey.
How did you change this? How did you learn to take space? How did you learn to be okay with yourself, with your body? How did you decide, and how did it become okay for you to come out here and talk about the things that matter on the internet, take up all this physical space? How did you change that?
I think the space that I curated for myself online has a big role to play, because it's so strange that I'm saying this, but it became my safe space because I was curating it in a manner where I would welcome other girls, boys to openly talk about it. So the conversation started at home, where as my brother was growing up, I would have these conversations with him because I felt like it was important for me. And I did not realize that I was having these conversations with him, I was also healing. A part of me was also healing. And then when girls would reach out to me and just start talking about what they are going through at home, because there's so much you can do. I can listen to you, but you need to take that journey on your own. But the fact that even a single girl would come up to me and talk to me, I realized that this had become a safe space for not just me to grow or learn, or just have be on this healing journey where I can have dark moments, low moments, but I can also have moments where I feel good about my body. I feel good about going out and engaging with people. And another thing, and the fact that it helped me with my confidence also led me to make very difficult decisions. I call them difficult because initially they were difficult for me to make, because I was someone who always thought that you need to keep people in your life. Once they're in your life, you need to keep them. And I said no. If this person does not make me feel safe, if I can't have conversations with this person about my body, or just I know, just being in that space with someone, I'm going to cut that person out of my life. I will find people. I will find people who themselves can find a safe space just being around me, and it's not just going to be me. They themselves will find it too. So I think that helped a lot. Just taking those steps. It's very scary. I'm not going to lie. You fear being alone, just being like feeling completely isolated. I still feel like that. There are so many nights where I make a video, for instance, and I post it, and then the comments I receive, and I'm like, I start doubting myself. I start second guessing myself, thinking, शायद मैंने गलती तो नहीं कर दी. Why is it like that people are not understanding? And then I'm like, it's fine. It's fine if they're not on that then they are on their own path. They're not there. I'm already there. And I was even saying it to my colleagues today. I told them, it's okay if I'm too much for people. uh, I have found my people I can be too much with, so I'm perfectly okay with it. I say it
I
to
love
clients.
being too much.
Yeah, I say
I
it to
have a whole
clients.
I have a whole post about it on my Instagram. It's pinned to the top. Like, I was told from the beginning that I was too much.
Yeah.
I want too much. I say too much. I am too much.
Yes.
And I think it's amazing that you are too much,
Yeah.
because there will always be people who will find you too much because what you say does not resonate with them,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I have, before we, it's a super interesting conversation, and before we close,
Yes.
I want to ask you, like, it has changed for me a little bit, but when I was younger, maybe 10 years ago or something,
Yes.
and if I basically saw somebody say, "Oh, I like girls who look like that," or if I saw a guy joke about, "Oh, I like girls who have like this type of hair or this type of hair," it used to make me immediately angry. It used to make me so angry because I was like, well, who the hell do you think you are to decide what kind of body and hair someone should have?
Yeah.
And I used to be like, well, you know it's her decision what kind of hair she has and what kind of body she has. And then with age and with time and with growing up, I realized that of course it's her choice what kind of body she has and what kind of hair she has.
Yes.
But everybody also has, it's okay for people to have choices.
Yes.
Some women like really tall guys, it's the
Yes.
same thing.
It is.
It's like some guys also like really light skinned girls.
Mm.
Some men like women with really thick long hair. What do you think about this? Do you think, is it feeding into the stereotyping when people have choices, or would you say it's okay to have them? Because we can't control people's choices. Everybody is free to like what they want, but it's a bit of a journey. Because if you had asked me this question 10 years ago, I would have had a very judgmental tone towards people who like women who like men who look a certain way and men who like women who look a certain way. But I think that's shifted for me a little bit. And how do you feel about this?
I think in terms of gender, like for instance, you mentioned it could be a man, like having a certain type. I think it totally depends on the intention behind those words. How are you communicating it to me? So, like I observe the tone or the tonality as well as the sentence. So, if it's not bringing a gender down or a certain someone down, you're not pinpointing someone, you're being open. You're like, I'm giving you the space to be open about your feelings, or like how you feel about the opposite gender, like in terms of your personal preferences. I will give you equal space irrespective of one's gender. But if you're bringing someone down, ke, for instance, me being like, "उफ, मुझे तो कमजोर लड़के बिल्कुल भी नहीं अच्छे लगते." Like, do you understand the tone? इसको देखो कितना, इसकी कमर ही नहीं नजर आ रही. Do you get it? Like, there's
Yeah,
this.
like, I don't like very tall guys. I just don't. It's just
When
a
you
misfit
say,
for me. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not too tall myself, and I like men who look good next to me. You know.
this is a different tone, like
Eh,
you see
You
this.
know.
Like, if you say that to me, I'm going to be like, good for you, you go girl,
Yeah.
something like that. But if imagine someone going like, "Uski kamar dekho nazar nahi aa rahi," or anything like you, it's the
That is
tone
so
that you're
mean.
using.
Like, that is just mean
Exactly.
spirited.
Yeah, like you are not sharing your type. You are just you have some deep seated feelings to work on first.
But
Yeah.
do you think we are conditioned into having a type? Do you think we might be conditioned
With
and
boys,
influenced?
yeah, with boys it could be like that, because I don't know the sort of conversations boys are having today, what they are exposed to. I hear my cousins talking about the people they watch online, or and then just like I'm suddenly like there's a sense of fear. Okay, if you're watching this certain YouTuber, or if you're hearing these certain conversations, whatever you're watching, what sort of a person are you growing into? Like, what are the conversations you are having with boys? Maybe you have the same circle who watches these things, which has influenced you. It has a lot to do with how you are raised. For girls it's completely different. So it completely depends on how much you educate yourself, no matter how uh, later in life it happens for you. I've had friends who've learned about so many subjects that are have been stigmatized in society. Girls do not talk about their bodies. Girls do not talk about sex. Girls do not talk about marriage at a certain age. There's so many topics one can think of. And but the fact that my friends or people in my circle were open to having these conversations even much later in life is more than enough to give them the space to decide what works for them, whether it's the person they want to settle with, the choices they want to make with their partner. um, do you understand? Like, so it completely depends on how one is being raised, or the conscious decisions that we are making on a daily basis for ourselves.
Yeah, I hear what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you say to somebody who's in this situation right now, struggling to take up space because they look a certain way or they've been told a certain thing about their bodies or what's beautiful, what's not?
um Sometimes, I not sometimes, most of the times I feel like I don't even know if my words are going to have that impact. Because if it were if I were in their place, if I was someone who was struggling with their body, or with their relationships that is connected to their bodies and their eating habits, or anything in connection to that, and no amount of words are going to help me. But one thing I would say is that it requires an immense amount of patience. I'm By patience, I do not mean that you hold things in, or you just stay quiet and you do not have a voice. You shut up and you just sit back, relax. No, you don't do that. Instead, I what I mean is you will find people that you can have conversations with. You will find people that will eventually make you realize that you need to get help. You need to work on your body, or you need to unlearn so many things in life. You need to relearn so many things in life. You need to have these conversations. And it's just all about not giving up. Because I've shared it with someone in another podcast, where I told them that I just, maybe it's just personal, but I just was always someone who didn't want to quit. I just wanted to wake up every morning and just try again, 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 again. Like, I wanted to work on myself. I wanted to understand myself. मैं अंदर झांक के देखना चाहती थी कि who is this person? कौन है सरोश exactly? I wanted to explore every part of myself. I was okay with being rebellious. I was okay with not having a voice. I was also okay with that hatred I carried for another fat person. I was also okay with um, trying again, with failing, with winning. I was okay with every part of Sarosh that I still carry within me. And that, I think, helped me a lot, just not quitting, just waking up every morning and being like, whatever challenges are going to come my way, I'm going to take it.
I have a lot of respect for you for speaking about this because I could not speak about my body like that.
Yeah.
I mean it. It's just that, like I said to you, this the reason that I said that there is a false equivalence,
Yes.
and I know that I have a little bit more privilege given how we try to promote size zero. I would not be able to come out and talk about it because it's just even though I talk about a lot of things, and I speak radically about things that are just so taboo.
Yeah.
There's also things that I'm conditioned, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm always thinking that, oh, what if I have a few extra pounds here, and then should I work out? Should I have more muscle? Should I have more muscle because then I'm gonna burn calories on rest? I
Yeah.
don't think about I It's changing with age. I'm thinking of having more muscle because I want to be healthy.
Yeah.
But 5 years ago, I was thinking about having more muscle because I thought then then I don't gain weight. And
Yeah.
it's so crazy because I know that on this specific conversation I'm so deeply conditioned, and
Yeah.
it's slowly changing because as you're aging, I'm over 30, so as you're aging your body changes, and sometimes it's different and it's not on your side.
Because yeah, if it were not for me feeling safe, or like feeling like you are giving me space to be myself, and just just hearing me out, that's more than enough for me. Yeah, and I wanted to ask, like you said that you said that you have immense respect for me, what having talked about my body and everything, and you also talked about you say that, if correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm trying to understand, that you feel like you have this privilege being in this body. What do you mean by that? Like, does it have a lot to do with something like personal to you, or like something
I'll
you feel?
explain.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
It's about that, when I did not have the journey that you had because nobody ever policed what I should be eating. So this is what I mean, that women who are slightly thinner or petite, they are not policed on what you're eating. So obviously it cuts you very deep if somebody is trying to tell you what should you should eat. I
Yeah.
didn't have that, but I do think that I grew up in a certain conditioning where everybody around me was extremely thin,
Okay.
you know? And when you go out in the world like that in Pakistan, a lot of times it's celebrated. Oh, you're so thin. Oh,
Mm,
do you have a workout routine? Oh, what do you eat? You're so thin. But at the same time, it kind of instills this fear in you that if you're no longer in this body, are you even going to be accepted?
oh, that's another challenge.
You know? And
Yeah.
that is something that is really vulnerable for me because I think a lot of times I feel that way. And I have to be honest. I have to be vulnerable in this moment and say that I
Yeah.
don't know how I will feel emotionally if I didn't look like that.
Yes.
And I remember I've read a lot of accounts from women who just wrote about how they felt after they were pregnant, right?
Okay.
It doesn't matter how you look before. Of course, if you've had a baby, your body looks different, and it's a whole
Yes.
challenge to deal with the physiological and the psychological effects of it, but also with
Correct.
accepting yourself as you look to yourself in the mirror.
Yes.
And in a country like Pakistan, body image is so deeply connected to your worth
Yes.
because I think a lot of times what happens is if you want to have a child, or if you want to have
Yes.
if you want to look young,
Mm,
if you don't want to age, then you
yes.
have to look a certain way because every single medication that you take for hormones, it's like it makes you want to eat more. It causes water retention, it causes weight gain, it causes so many things that come with it. And
Yes.
I know the medical system and the society are structured in a way that if you go to a doctor and you tell them, they're going to talk about your body weight like it's a bad thing,
Gee.
you know? And I'm just thinking sometimes that right now I have all of these privileges. But
Yes.
what if this changes? Because this will change.
Yeah.
Because life is all about change, and you change and you grow and you look different. and you look different through different stages of your life. There might be decisions I make in the future which make my body completely look different, which means if I decide to have a baby, maybe I will look completely different. And for me, that's like, I don't know if I could go out and talk about it with so much boldness like you're talking,
Yeah.
because it's just still something that I'm processing, you know?
Yeah, I
And
think
that's
it's
what I
healthy
meant.
to do that first. I understand what you're saying now. That makes more sense to me. Yeah, I think it has to be internal first. I think I wouldn't be having this conversation with you today so openly. I wouldn't be doing that until and unless I would have had my own journey first, just been on that path and gone through everything.
Is there something that you would like to add before we close?
Um, I don't think so. I think we covered so much.
It
Like,
was really
I
nice and it was really intimate. I really liked it. I
yeah,
also
yeah.
thank you for asking the question that you asked in the end, because I know that I was not making a lot of sense and this was on purpose. I was very vague.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I
But
didn't mean to put you on the
thank you
spot.
for no, but thank you for asking, because it kind of helped me articulate
Yeah,
what it is. And it's difficult to come out and say, okay, yeah, I broke a lot of boundaries, but I'm still a hostage of my conditioning
yeah.
on
It's
this
just that.
topic, you know? I wanted to say that I have a lot of respect that you came forward and talked about this.
Thank you. No,
Yeah,
thank you for
it's,
giving me this space to talk
of
about it.
course.